British geezers are losing their shit right now. From vandalizing their favorite local Chinese restaurants, to modestly decorating their houses, to tearing Palestinian flags down, just about, chanting the dumbest catchphrases I've ever heard in my life, to plotting literal terrorist attacks, to ripping hijabs off ladies' heads, to spending their entire working week meeting up in these big hordes of unemployed geezers, real Carling drinkers, you know, and going around courageously hanging Union Jacks off every possible surface in the country, to traveling far and wide and assaulting local residents of towns and cities who simply want to sleep.
So every now and again I can't sleep because of the protests going on. As with the bigger issues, I just want some shelter when I go to sleep, you know.
Oh, you were lefty one time?
No, I don't think I'm left or right. I think mainly I'm just having...
We caught him. How did Obama said it? We got him. Oh, Jesus.
Losing their minds when policemen refuse to shake their hands.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe I went to shake his hand to say thank you for today and he wouldn't shake my hand. Do you want to reconsider? Because I'm going to post this. He won't shake my hand. You won't shake hands. You won't shake my hand. Shame on you. I'm fucking appalled. I'm fucking appalled. Look at that man. Wouldn't shake my hand. I come over with an open hand and an open heart. Wow. Fucking shame on you. Animal.
By the way, that man throwing a hissy fit wasn't just some random person. No, he's genuinely one of the UK's most important nationalist leaders. Here he is, commanding 100,000 British patriots through the streets of London, leading the protest alongside a fanatic Israel supporter.
If there was a war and it kicked off, I would be there on the front line fighting for
England?
Israel.
Oh, yeah. A Polish EU Parliament member. I thought we were meant to have no influence from the dirty EU, huh? Interesting. And of course, everyone's favourite white conservative woman, Katie Hopkins. This is how it feels to be a white conservative woman. Perfect analogy, because that's not a real target and you've put it there yourself. And if this patriot protest didn't seem un-British enough already, Elon Musk, an illegal African immigrant to America, made an appearance in which he attempted to incite some kind of civil war in England, a country he has absolutely no connection to.
Whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die.
Tommy Robinson claimed his Elon Musk-centric protest drew millions of people to London. It was apparently the biggest protest this country has ever seen. Complete lie. Official estimates put the number at 150k max, which is funny because the 2023 Palestine London rally was twice the size. Now, the recent nationalist protests in London, as you can see, were extremely rowdy, violent, and left London destroyed. Fair enough, I don't really care about the place. I'm from Birmingham. Any London downfall makes me grin from ear to ear. However, the recent pro-Palestine demonstrations in the same city were much more respectful and peaceful. Just have a look. So if I asked you, out of the two, which protest led to 1,600 arrests and which protest led to 25 arrests, you might be a bit shocked. A certain grey-haired, squeaky-voiced dickhead has made it the law that anyone who protests for the cause of Palestine is a terrorist. So all these people are basically Osama bin Laden. The elderly, blind, nuns. Yup, lock them away and throw away the fucking key. Send them to Valhalla, as Kash Patel would say.
I'll see you in Valhalla.
Whereas if you protest in the name of Elon Musk, white conservative women, the EU and Israel, you're fine. Actually, matter of fact, you're free to just go and do whatever you want to any police officer and face no consequences. You know, casually strolling down the middle of the road, walking towards oncoming traffic, and then claiming it was an attempt to run over a patriot by the Metropolitan Police, to burning the Quran in the name of Israel, to politically indoctrinating literal toddlers. Devout Christians spewing the most blasphemous, sacrilegious sentence I've ever heard in my life. And then they have the nerve to flee to sunny Spain. For example, after hospitalizing a pensioner in London St. Pancras Station. Real British patriot, by the way.
I went to Israel. Hey! I had an I Love Israel t-shirt on from a tourist shop. Hey! I had a Mossad one as well from a tourist shop. Yeah?
Hey! I want a national unifying politics which puts Britain first. Not Pakistan, not Gaza, not any other foreign policy thing. Britain first.
Not Israel?
Well, not Israel.
To spray painting Union Jacks, England flags, and the occasional Danish flag. This is how I knew it all went too far, by the way. As a half Swedish, half English person, this is when I realized the UK has lost the plot. Denmark is literally our historical op. What are you doing?
Get up there! Hey! You get him, right? Yeah, for your future. All these ragged Palestine, look behind you.
Anyway, yeah, the geezers have been out graffitiing flags on every single white surface known to man, which, by the way, if you're like me and you actually work hard, have a job, pay on average 32% income tax, and therefore don't have the kind of free time to walk around spraying Danish flags on roundabouts, well, we are the ones paying for this shit to be cleaned up. Me and you, our taxes are going to be used by the council to scrub all this low-effort graffiti away. Great job, guys. Really appreciate it. Money well spent once again. If you don't already know, the geezers are doing all this in the name of scaring immigrants, stopping the boats, you know?
Oh, well, in that case, look, I'm not going to bother. I'll just turn around.
Which is really an honorable cause, especially when you read into the organizers of these flag-centric campaigns and learn that the same guys telling you that you gotta graffiti and vandalize to be patriotic are the same guys smuggling immigrants into our country. Lee Twamley, the leader of Churchill's Lions and his gang of Carling drinkers who run other similar nationalist groups, have literally served jail time for human trafficking Vietnamese migrant workers from Calais to Dover. Yup. And that's just the tip of the iceberg here, man. I can guarantee you the contents of this video will make you start questioning everything. I'm genuinely losing my grip on reality editing this right now.
It's a fucking Pakistani woman.
You see how keen our supporters are? They even get tattooed. Can't be bad.
It's a Union Jack, and it's got a start. The start is over the trust me.
Well, it's civil war. We're gonna have to fight. We're gonna have to kill them. We don't live in a barbaric society like that.
32. How? That's the issue we have using in our country. You got in our kids. Save our kids! This is our country. How about becoming your country?
One little problem with this livid British rage towards immigration, just like Tommy Robinson, all these geezers without fault can be found on average 4 times every year in Spain or another foreign country. 44 million British people go on holiday every year. On top of that, 5 million fucking Brits live abroad, mostly in Spain. An example of this would be Nigel Farage's children. That's right, British people don't deserve free travel in Europe, but my kids do. But you know how I said 5 million Brits live abroad? Bro, do you know how many people that is? That's like all of Ireland. That's like all of New Zealand, bro. That's like 100 Greenlands. What? Do you understand the level of mass migration we're talking here? And these geezers might genuinely be the worst immigrants the world has, purely based off their own definitions. Think about the issues geezers have with immigration in the UK, and then think about how they act in Spain. Just compare the two, yeah? Don't learn the language, don't integrate with the culture, don't pay tax in the country, don't even talk to the locals, take advantage of all the cheap amenities, act anti-socially, don't respect 1 inch of their culture, just walk around intoxicated, harassing women, etc. And look, I do completely understand Spaniards' deep hate for tourists, and I do understand that some British tourists definitely deserve water balloons thrown at their heads. I mean, once I was in Gdansk, Poland, and I saw a group of British lads walking through Old Town at 6 p.m. on a Monday, chanting, "We want pussy, we do, we want pussy, we do." I'm not joking, I wish I was. However, before you go pelt rocks at some old quiet British couple, I think you Spaniards should go Ask a South American or a Filipino if they liked you lot being in their country back then. I don't think they really appreciated the 60 million fucking people you killed, or all that gold you stole, or all that culture you completely erased and genocided. I think they probably have the right to throw a water balloon or two at your heads as well. I'd just say, look, at least British expats are just stealing your beers and then drinking it, not stealing your children and then keeping them as. But that being said, if you see one of those guys I met in Poland, yo, please water balloon them, bro, please. Nah, mate, you don't get it. I'm not an immigrant, mate. I'm an expat. I eat pork and I drink beer, mate. I'm different. See, us working class Brits want our country back.
You're from Great Yarmouth?
Born here.
Born here, yeah. What's life like in Great Yarmouth these days?
Shithole.
Shithole?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Those there all over Mongolians and every bloody thing.
Jesus.
They're all on social security. They're all
no good.
Now.
I want my money back. We've been getting robbed for too long. But no, it's definitely not the 2,000 richest Brits who collectively pay about 99p of tax every year, whilst working class Brits on an average bleed away 36% of their income. The billionaires are definitely not the ones stealing from our country at all, bro. No way. You've got it completely wrong, mate. The issue actually comes from the 0.16% of Britain's population who have appealed to seek asylum, which doesn't fucking matter to me anyway, because I live in Spain. But best believe I still bang on about this every day, all day, in the Irish pub. Shit, I mean the British pub. This whole new fresh strain of British nationalism was cooked up by a political party called Reform UK, fronted by Nigel Farage. Remember that guy?
I'm an insomniac. I'm an insomniac. Staring at the ceiling, waiting for my phone to switch off. Yes, I'm an insomniac. God save our gracious King. Long live our noble King. God save our King. God save
Reform have had an absolute field day selling their 2025 narrative to poor working class British people with no money. But do you want to know the catch? They invented the poor working class people with no money. Brexit was Nigel Farage's baby. Yeah, remember that? Remember last time we listened to this guy's solutions to the immigration issue? It got worse. And also, more importantly, everyone became poor. We lost all of our fucking trading partners. Therefore, British industry collapsed. Turns out it's quite hard to maintain a business when there are 0 customers. The economy committed suicide. And conveniently, whilst everyone got poorer at the hands of Nigel Farage's lies, his cronies, like these 4 guys for example, some of the UK's biggest tech investors, property developers, shareholders, manufacturing firms, corporations in general, hiked up their prices. In the last 4 years, Tesco has doubled their profits. Wetherspoons doubled its profits during a so-called cost of living crisis. Could you maybe, possibly, potentially guess who is best mates with the founder and chairman of Wetherspoons? Drum roll, please. Yes, Nigel Farage, Reform UK. They are working together to make our pints more expensive. This is treason. The British far right intentionally made the economy stagnant, then started ripping British people off, making us all broke, and are now taking advantage of the recent substandard healthcare, education, and living standards, channeling British people's anger in the opposite direction from the root problem, which is themselves. Remind you of anyone?
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
I'm all for Nigel Farage.
Give us a high five.
You're right.
I'm a reform.
Same here. So what annoys me is that everyone thinks that reform are all about hating immigrants.
No, it's a load of rubbish. But I think there's so much more to us than that.
Oh, most definitely. Of course there is. Of course there is.
What other reform policies do you like?
I mean, I can't name them off the top of my head.
To be honest with you, I can't remember them all now.
Shall I help you out?
No, give me a second.
What other reform policies do you like?
Spend more money on the NHS.
That's actually not one of our policies. So we want to cut public services by £150 billion. Wow. Okay.
It's quite a bold statement.
We need to put an end to free healthcare.
Yeah. Do you think so?
We need to protect the wealthiest.
Yes.
So we need to cut the taxes on things like private education, private healthcare.
Yep.
Protect the billionaires.
I don't really know too much about all that, but yeah.
I think we should ban protests altogether as well.
Yeah, 100%.
We support 0-hour contracts.
Yeah.
I don't like all this, like 1 week you're working, 1 week you're not.
Well, that is actually a reform policy.
Yeah.
We want to protect the wealthy. We think it's a good idea to turn this country into a tax haven for the billionaires. That means not taxing their foreign income.
Yeah, great ideas.
This cycle of right-wing pro-privatization economy violation has been going on forever in the UK though, as long as I can remember. And believe it or not, this is also intrinsically connected to tourism. You see, back in the day, 1950s, 1960s, it was very affordable for British people to go on holiday in Britain. I mean, have you seen photos of Blackpool in the 60s? It was lit on a different level, bro. Shit was active. However, we then have the 70s, followed by Thatcher, and please consider that Farage is about the biggest Margaret Thatcher mega fan on earth. Inflation got really high in the 70s. The mismanagement of our economy and our industries meant people got poor and their money meant less. Thatcher's answer to this was privatization, including airlines and airports, who decided to really take advantage of global wealth inequality. If that hotel in Blackpool is looking too expensive, why not just fly to Spain, where you can get a nicer hotel for half the price? Introducing the package holiday. Like anyone who grew up in the UK, I've been on a few. I'm very desensitized to this cultural phenomenon. So I thought I'd bring on my Georgian friend to explain his first time ever experiencing Brits abroad. Brits on a package holiday.
Dubrovnik in Croatia is a very beautiful town, absolutely gorgeous. Every single road looks fantastic. Because of its beauty, Dubrovnik has the most tourists per capita with 27 visitors per resident. And 27 out of those 27 are British. The British never occupied the Balkans, but if they did, it would be the town of Dubrovnik in Croatia. When you walk there, every single time you hear a person talk, they will have a British accent. There were English Brits, Jamaican Brits, Polish Brits, Indian Brits, and even prisoner Brits. A lot of bottle of waters throughout the entire town. And this phrase is so funny because when Geopold was coming to Georgia for the first time, the passport lady saw his passport and said, "Bottle of water," and then let him through. Just the sea of British people in Dubrovnik, I genuinely cannot believe it. So you just know that the Irish pub was popping. The entire street was silent at night, and then from the general direction of the Irish pub, you hear, "Hey, yo, mate, so I met this bird, yeah? Man needs to stack some peas this summer." Fucking glass breaking and everything. When you go to Dubrovnik, you will see Croatians working there, and Croatians visiting there are maybe 1 or 2 out of this crowd. For a Croatian to see another Croatian in Dubrovnik, it must be exhilarating. But honestly, I appreciate British tourists because nobody else in any country wants to fucking talk. Have you ever tried talking to a French tourist? "Leave me alone, I am not your friend. And everyone east of France just gives you the 1,000-yard stare when you try and make conversation with them. But talking with Brits is the easiest thing ever. You just join in on some bullshit. "Hey yo, you guys ever thought about getting a BBL? I've been thinking about it a lot recently." And they'll respond too. I don't think it has ever happened where a person has tried talking with a Brit and they didn't reciprocate. I'm sure in the colonial times that was happening, but not now, since Keir Starmer took out every sort of joy out of being from Britain. Also, I don't understand why the British keep drawing the first Georgian flag all over their streets. It's just really confusing to me. But I'm sure Geopold will explain this.
Those are just like miniature St George's crosses. You know, it's my way of expressing my enthusiasm for England.
Unfortunately, if you're like me, a Westerner who happens to like traveling, these guys can really leave a dirty stain on our reputation. The cashier of the Mercadona will literally look at you like you are Satan reincarnated if you utter a word of English to them. So please, guys, here and now, let's fix our global reputation. I promise you, all you need to do is just speak the basic casual phrases, man. You'll be receiving free ice cream scoops, free shots of alcohol, free cigarettes, you name it, from all the locals. They will respect you on a different level if you just put a tiny bit of effort in. Unfortunately, the conventional language learning methods don't really teach you any of this important local lingo. My personal recommendation, my tried and tested method to brush up on natural language skills is italki. Using this online language learning platform, you can take personalized one-on-one lessons with native speaking teachers anytime, anywhere. Because it's just you and the teacher, you will really focus on your speaking and listening, more conversational skills, which will increase your confidence through actual interactions. For me, that's about 10,000% more useful than what I get out of conventional lessons. When I took language classes in school, I genuinely didn't gain any useful conversational skills. But 30 minutes on italki with my teacher, and I already had the basic phrases down.
So basically, if you're gonna say hello, how are you? You would just say something like hola, ¿cómo estás? Can you say hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Very good.
If you want to find a mentor that's a good match for you, just like I did, there's over 30,000 teachers and you can find the perfect one through some easy filtering. italki Plus AI learning tools enhance learning after you take your lesson by automatically generating additional learning content based on your actual lesson. Like for example, flashcards, which I find really useful, plus fun progression features that help you track your learning. And best of all, with italki, you can pay for each lesson individually. There's no subscriptions and lessons are priced from only $5. You get 3 trial lessons which are refundable, so there's no financial risk involved. Starting now, you can join the 2025 italki Language Challenge to help stay committed and make real progress in 45 days. Climb the global leaderboard and earn exciting rewards by keeping up with your daily language learning journey. Start your language learning journey now with the link below in the description, and don't forget, use that promo code GEOPOLD9 all caps. This gives the first 50 users an extra $5 when they make their first purchase of $10 or more. So be quick, sign up now. Obviously, the package holiday method took Britain by storm. As I said before, nowadays 80% of Brits go on these kind of holidays every year. On average, about 4 times a year. The luckiest 5 million Brits actually made those holidays into a permanent life. Benidorm is flourishing whilst Blackpool is dead. It is an absolute shithole wasteland which genuinely only is worth visiting if you fancy spending thousands on being shanked in a mouldy pub bathroom.
Prices have just ridiculous. It's so much cheaper here. But listen, Nigel Farage's going to be the next Prime Minister, so end of story. It doesn't matter, does it? We can say what we want. Nigel Farage's going to be the next Prime Minister, end of story.
But how will he cure the inflation?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. That's not my job, that's his job.
But if you ask me, how are you going to do this? I can't really give you an answer.
But to understand how detrimental this was to the UK, the package holiday phenomenon, you need to consider how much fucking money people spend on holidays. An average Spanish package holiday will run you about $1,000 per person. This is the kind of money people spend 3 or 4 times a year on vacationing. So like 3 to 4k per person, 80% of the country. If that holiday was a Brit in Blackpool, that massive chunk of spending money would have been spent on British soil, paid to British businesses, and would go back into the economy through those businesses paying tax. However, these modern private companies like package holiday providers, budget airlines, foreign businesses, airports, obviously don't contribute any money back to the UK's economy. So since the 60s, we have not only lost the consumer, we've lost the provider. And with inflation getting worse and worse in the UK, Brits are increasingly trying to spend less money and be more frugal at home, yet spend equally, if not more money abroad. Basically, British people need holidays to get through the year. It's pretty grim here, you know? So we don't mind forking out a bit more cash for those rare holiday occasions. And the UK essentially has completely removed itself from its own citizens' yearly spending spike, or 2 or 3 or 4. Especially because Brits tend to do all their year's luxury shopping when they're on holiday abroad. Clothes, perfume, The UK is benefiting nothing. This is, in my opinion, a gigantic reason the UK's economy is stagnant and shit right now. And do you remember what I said about reform benefiting from the economy being shit? Well, it might not surprise you to know that Nigel Farage's single biggest donor of all time is the founder of an aviation fuel company. I'm telling you guys, it's all big plane. They're pulling all the strings. Planegate 2025, bruh. It's not the immigrants on boats we need to worry about. It's the rich British elites in planes who, obviously, by the way, dodge tax by paying it in Thailand. Real patriotic of you, mate. It's simple. In return for the multi-million-pound backing from Chris Harbourne, Nigel Farage pushes pro-aviation, pro-package holiday policies. I'll give you an example. Farage openly opposes the UK's air passenger duty tax, which is essentially the one single tiny way in which we profit from air travel going out of our country. It's just a small tax which is included in all plane tickets departing from the UK. You probably don't even know it's there. You wouldn't notice. It's small. If Farage gets in though, he will remove this tax. Package holiday companies will be able to charge even less but make more profits than before. And if the prices are cheaper for the British consumer, this will lead to even more people choosing Benidorm over Blackpool. More flights leave the UK. This guy sells more aviation fuel. His company increases in value. At what cost though? We would lose an important tax. Then the government has even less money to spend on schools, for example. Then people get more dumb and keep voting for far-right parties like Reform UK. And I'm not even being mean. That's just statistically the far-right's target audience.
Your voters have become nearly, the higher you go up the education ladder, the higher the correlation it is that you vote for the Democrat Party. And it's almost a one-to-one with PhD. It's like 75% for master's degrees, and it's 65% for
why do you think that's the case? What are the issues that sort of are identified align in that respect?
The sloppy analysis is like, oh, they're smarter, therefore they must be Democrats.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's silly and insane.
Yeah.
But
insulting. I agree.
I totally agree.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
All of this is poetically ironic, almost unbelievably so, because you want to know the one thing which almost took Nigel Farage out, almost neutralized this evil man. A plane! Aviation! A plane almost took Nigel Farage out, bro, remember? Here's actually some nice words that patriotic British protesters had for Trump the other day.
I want Donald Trump, right, to make England great again.
How would he do that though? What would you want to do?
I want him to buy England like he wanted to buy Canada and make us a state that we're proud of.
You want to be part of the United States?
Yes, just that's the only solution.
Very patriotic of you, bro. Just like how this protest included a memorial to Charlie Kirk, which I mean, RIP, yeah, fine, whatever. But genuinely, how does this guy have anything to do with the UK? This guy's death has been so weaponized by the right wing that it's now being used by British nationalist politicians. And I think we can all tell from the response given by Utah's governor and Kash Patel that this act of political violence is just being used to stir up more hate, division, and therefore more political violence, as Elon Musk himself called for in the UK.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for.
It was also good to see Trump mourning in deep sadness, being overcome with horror and emotion when confronted with his friend's death.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
I did like UKIP's tear-jerking response to Charlie Kirk's assassination too.
A bullet fired at Charlie Kirk is a bullet fired at all of us.
there will be no mercy, no diplomacy, and no surrender. We are under attack and we must defend ourselves. It is time for justice, and war has now been declared.
Everything I love, bro. I'm the one that smacked Donald Trump that night when he got dropped. Ace had that money on his head, told me to slide.
By the way, this is the guy who praises Britain's World War II troops and then at the same time hires in public. Pick a side, bruh. And of course, morally, us British people have to mourn the death of some American influencer. Political violence must be condemned by all of us. But at the same time,
Keir Starmer needs to be assassinated. Yeah? Someone needs to shoot. Someone needs to shoot Keir Starmer.
Look at these American flags being flown at Britain's patriotic march, bruh. Look at these Israeli flags. It really reminds me of how so-called patriot Nigel Farage recently, instead of spending a single minute in his elected British constituency of Clacton, decided to jet off to sunny America and basically slag off the UK to America's Congress. It's kind of unrelated, but I did just want to include my highlight of Trump's visit to the UK, aside from him cheating at golf.
To think that we settled Azerbaijan and Albania as an example, it was going on for years. It was never going to be settled.
And as a final note, what I'm going to say is immigration obviously is not a good thing. People should not need to uproot their lives, move across the globe to a country with an absolutely alien culture, whether that's the Palestinian fleeing war to the safety of Europe or the Brit fleeing artificial inflation, shit public services, but high taxes and migrating to Spain. Both migrations in an ideal world should never happen. And if you agree with me here, I'd just say maybe be careful about feeling proud of the global legacy of this flag, like graffitiing it on every wall in your city or something. Hear me out. The Union Jack was the flag of the British Empire. It was also the flag which our soldiers wore on their shoulders when 10 years ago we completely destroyed Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan in the name of American Israeli imperialism. Netanyahu's lies convinced us to invade and decimate Iraq alongside America. But if we'd have never invaded Iraq, if we'd have never made it completely uninhabitable, we would have zero Iraqi immigrants trying to enter Europe right now. This is what makes people like Tommy Robinson complete hypocrites. Most of the immigrants coming to Europe right now are coincidentally either Afghan, Iraqi, or Syrian. The reason for this is because the UK made their home countries unlivable. In one big kind of favor to America and Israel, Britain's army flattened the Middle East. Then we withdrew, creating intentional power vacuums which got filled by extremist Islamic groups who almost instantly and still to this day are terrorizing their own people. Also, we stole most of their natural resources. In British school, they conveniently leave out the crystal clear records of our boys basically plundering Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq's gold, oil, etc. So these countries are now very poor and also very dangerous. All because of the UK's foreign policy. And if you were born in Kabul today, mate, you'd probably also leave for greener pastures, literally. But look, I can go even more recently than Iraq. Since 2022, 7.8 million Congolese people have been displaced due to the UK's funding of Rwanda's M23 militia. Since 2023, 1.9 million Palestinian people have been displaced due to the UK's funding of Israel's army. These migrants haven't even reached the UK yet, but they will be coming because the UK has displaced them. How can you be proud of the UK when they create the issue you seem to care about the most? The Union Jack's global influence is currently today, this minute, creating thousands of migrants as we speak, deliberately. And of course, some of these migrants are gonna obviously end up in Europe. So you have to kind of pick a side here, my friend. Anti-immigration, not proud of my flag's global influence. Pro-immigration, proud of my flag's global influence. Do you guys really think there would be any Indians or Pakistanis or Bengalis in Britain right now if all those three countries weren't previously literally part of Britain, which at the time was just an absolutely gigantic country which was represented by this flag? And here I have a photo of an Indian man guarding his family from cannibals during the 1877 Madras famine in the British rule of India. Genuinely, please, someone tell me if you were this guy, or if you were currently in Gaza, where there's a genuine risk that your child or your young relatives might get in the head by an IDF precision. Genuinely, please tell me you wouldn't try anything to escape that hell and move somewhere safer, like Europe, for example. I really, truly think that 99% of all humans would become migrants if they were faced with the kind of hell that Britain's imperial actions unleash on innocent humans. Also, talking about Indian food, it's always nice to see the exact people demonstrating against immigration stuffing their faces with the delicious creations of immigration. And you want to know what's funny? GB News, yeah, the main outlet pushing this wave of anti-immigration, pro-Union Jack sentiment,
open the floodgates of Britain to hordes of people from Gaza,
is owned by Paul Marshall, a tax-dodging billionaire, of course. But the only reason he is a billionaire in the first place is because in the 90s he co-founded a hedge fund with his business partner George Soros, who is a massive funder of the IRC, the International Rescue Committee, which is the main charity helping out immigrants in the UK right now. A lot of the GB News headlines stirring up all this anger are written about how refugees are receiving free hotels, free amenities, free shampoo. But bro, it's GB News's main guy funding this shit they're so outraged by. The problem is yourselves. The problem is you. Just how, like, one of the main flag-hanging campaigners literally went to prison for smuggling refugees into the fucking country. I actually don't understand how anyone is still buying this, bro. How are there legitimately humans reading GB News, spending all their work hours hanging flags up around town? Obviously, look, wearing a little Y2K sheen beanie with a Union Jack on it just because the design's kind of cool isn't that deep. But like, if you really feel a sense of pride and patriotism for what this flag represents in terms of influence around the globe, to the point where you're gonna paint it on every white surface in fucking view and hang it on every single possible bit of your house, you are the immigrant problem. It starts with you. The UK creates worldwide migration intentionally, not only through our foreign policy, but also simply Western consumerism. Because us Brits are kind of broke due to political scams such as Brexit, we all want to buy cheap ass clothes. We all want a Y2K Sheen Union Jack beanie. Please, bro. And how on earth could we possibly make Primark skinny jeans cheap enough to flog for 15 quid in the big 2025? Sweatshops, yay! Yep, our companies strategically keep all of South Asia, Southeast Asia, South America, basically anywhere south, extremely poor, so that their labor costs nothing. Then they can make cheap slop for us, which we only buy because we are kept relatively poor as well, by our own standards, of course. But because of global wealth inequality generated by things like sweatshops and package holiday providers and the legacy of European empires and modern day warfare and basically everything I've discussed in this video, by British standards, Southeast Asia is cheap as fuck. And you know what that means? Tourism.
Hey, it's me, Wilmo. You caught me in the middle of cooking something. Naughty, naughty. Huh? Tourism. British tourism. Vacations. In Britain, we call them escapes because this island is a prison. You just caught me in the middle of cooking. I'm cooking up something good. Check it out. Matthew, my balls! Now, you might be wondering, what's so special about the British on vacation? Well, I'll tell you what. Every time I'm at a vacation place and there's no other British people there, it feels like heaven. I can tell you a little something about British tourists. I'm from the Philippines, and we got a few tourists over there, right? Don't leave now. In the Philippines, these tourists leave a very big mark known as children. Yes, tourism, yes. Tourism. You see people from these islands come over to my islands, start having kids, and then leaving them. Why? Because they wanted noble effort. but it leaves an awful, nasty mark. And it looks like this.
This sucks.
British tourists are like one of the worst tourists you could ever meet out there. You know, they're loud. They expect you to speak English. They look like this guy. They look like this or that. And this is what I do to them. Son of a cannibal.
And if you need anything more from me, I'll be with my lambs. They seem to be silent.
Gotcha.
British sex tourism reaches much further than just Southeast Asia though, trust me. We got them old British ladies who travel to the Gambia to exploit them young muscular boys. I bet you can't guess what empire the Gambia is a leftover little sliver of, by the way. Britain. We got the bold men who go bankrupt and also drug and gang women in their local city, so they have to then flee due to their newfound reputation and end up in Eastern Europe writing novels on how to trick women into shitting you before you get YouTube famous. The list of British passport bros just goes on and on and on though, all around the world, which is just so ironic considering that Reform's main talking point is that we need to kick out all our immigrants to protect our women. Bold and bankrupt will say immigrants are the main threat to women in the UK. Look at this guy's record. Look at what he did. Also, I'd like to mention how women who attended the London Patriot March were literally harassed by the protesters chanting, clearly the kind of actions that are totally necessary to ensure women's safety in our great nation, yeah. And some guy like this, literally a couple days ago, a Sikh woman in a racially aggravated attack, spurred on by all the protests. What more am I supposed to say? And of course, Reform UK's previous high-level member of parliament, James McMurdoch, kicking the shit out of his girlfriend outside a nightclub was no problem, not an issue at all. This is old news from years and years and years ago. However, Farage saw no issue with this guy at all. Yeah, man, I'm sure Reform UK are protecting our women. Swear, bro, your mum, your sister, your girlfriend, or you, if you're a woman. Matter of fact, dudes, right now, you should just go and curb stomp all the women you love. Trust me, they will really appreciate it. This video is probably the most likely to get me killed material I've ever published on the internet. I'm sure the amount of hate I'm going to receive will be immeasurable. But if you're still watching by now, it means you could at least bear my uneducated ass moaning about England for 20 minutes. So guys, please give me a hand combating the unpopularity of my political views within my country right now. I'm not joking, the engagement on this upload might actually be very bad, believe it or not. So please give this video a like, a comment, any button down here you want to hit, just go ahead and smack it right now. It'll help this video get pushed to more people, hopefully spreading a decent message online a little bit. I appreciate you all, but most importantly, my big YouTube goal is to ratio Netanyahu's subscriber count by 10x. This is my big dream. Sub up if you want to support my noble cause. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm now gonna flee the country and I'm gonna play some sad post-apocalyptic outro music to be the soundtrack of my demise.